Here's what happened in Toronto's real estate market in March of 2022, showing us where things might be headed. There are two numbers that I like to look at that I think are great indicators of where things may trend moving forward, and those are the supply and the demand metrics. The demand metric is something called a sales to new listing ratio, and it measures the balance of supply and demand by comparing how many homes got sold in a given month as a percentage of how many new homes got listed on the market in that same month. A perfectly balanced market would have a ratio of 50%. Approximately half of the new homes that get listed to market are sold. And that's a market where neither buyers nor sellers are favored. However, those special properties, those rare ones that people have been waiting for, are still likely to receive plenty of attention. For Toronto's core, the sales to new listing ratio, that demand metric, was 59% in March, down from 64% in February. Now, it's very common to see a decline in that number as we move from inventory-starved months like January and February into our typical listing-heavy spring market. A ratio of 59% indicates a market that somewhat favors sellers. The supply metric is called months of inventory, or MOI. It's sometimes referred to as the absorption rate. This number takes a look at how many months it would take for the inventory available at the end of the month to sell out using the number of sales that happened during that same month. The smaller the number, the faster the total sell-off would happen, which would indicate a market that favors sellers. For example, if the MOI was 4, then it would take 4 months for all of the available inventory to sell. And if the MOI was 1, then it would only take 1 month. A market where everything sells in a short period of time means that supply can't keep up with demand, and that typically indicates tough competitive circumstances for buyers. The months of inventory, MOI, or that supply metric, for Toronto's core in March was 0.8, the same number as it was in February. This is a very low number. It points to an extreme seller's market. And in fact, the only time it was lower was when it was 0.7 in February of 2021, another frenzied seller's market. With the MOI being as low as it is and a sales to new listing ratio that favors sellers, I'm anticipating a typical busy Toronto spring market that favors sellers, barring any large interest rate increases. For Etobicoke, North York, and Scarborough, the trend for the sales to new listing ratio was very similar to that of the core, where we saw a decline from 66% in February to 56% in March. Now again, this is normal. We also did see a decline in the ratio comparing it to March of 2021, but that was a record year. And what happened in March of 2022, this past month, is very much in line with what we've seen happen in March of 2018, 2019, and 2020. The supply metric, or the MOI, for those outer regions of Toronto's core in March was 0.7. Again, a very low number indicating a strong seller's market. Now, bear in mind that a balanced market would have somewhere between 4 to 6 months worth of supply. So having less than 1 month's worth of inventory shows that supply is not doing a good job of keeping up with demand at all. What's interesting about the MOI for those outer regions is that the amount of available active inventory at the end of March actually rose by 34% when comparing to the amount of available inventory at the end of February. That is a decent jump. That could be an early indication that we're starting to see things moving towards a more balanced market in the areas outside of the core, but we'll have to see what April brings. I'm Jamie Harnish, Toronto Real Estate Navigator with Bosley Real Estate. I want to thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you watching. And if you happen to be watching this on YouTube, I would so appreciate if you'd like the video, if you subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any future updates.